Holden, on this episode of That One Movie Podcast, we are going to, for better or worse, most certainly the worst, we are taking a look at Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver.
Highly anticipated.
We're just going to go into a spoiler discussion. Here's our non-spoiler review of that movie. It's horrible. It is awful. It is. And you know, I mean, if you heard Part 1 review, I am somewhat unapologetic for that movie.
Yeah.
Like protecting that movie, I think it's fine. I think it's not good. I think it's fine. This movie, this second part, if especially the first half of this second part, in the third quarter, if you will, is just wow. We will break it down in depth. Some deep cut analysis coming at you. Spoiler review later on in the podcast. So use the time codes down in the description to jump right to that segment. Because beforehand, we're going to talk about some other stuff.
Yeah.
Some news from this week in the world of entertainment. Holden, what are some of our top stories from this week?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about some trailers that we got for Deadpool and Wolverine, M. Night Shyamalan's Trap, and Hitman for Netflix film, as well as an update on Tarantino's final film and Edgar Wright's next film.
Can't wait to talk about it, Holden. Again, use the time codes down in the description. Jump to whatever, tickles your fancy. Is that the saying?
Yeah.
Whenever I try to say something on a podcast, I forget.
You mess it up. Yeah, no,
it makes sense.
It's a phrase.
It's the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire moment. You get up there and you're like, Anywho, stick around for the whole show too. I'm Jimmy Youthy.
I'm Holden Sutter.
And it's time for Tom.
Tom.
That One Movie Podcast. Tom.
Jimmy, before we rip into Rebel Moon, let's do the Toms.
Let's talk about this week's news.
The Toms. Toms is the rapid fire segment in which we read the news of the week in the world of entertainment on a scale of 3 famous Toms: Brokaw, Bombadil, and Bergeron. Brokaw's the highest, Bombadil's the lowest, and Bergeron somewhere in between.
Something like that.
Yeah, good enough.
There we go.
Jimmy, let's get to it.
Holden, it's a trap.
It's a trap, yes. M. Night Shyamalan's new film is called Trap.
Here's my thing. If you haven't seen this trailer yet, I would say don't watch it. And because there's a reveal in this trailer that I think would have been a lot more fun to just see in the movie.
Yeah. I have a theory about it though.
Okay.
So I guess, yeah, we're going to talk about the reveal that's presented in the trailer. So if you don't want to know, I don't know, skip ahead a few minutes.
Well, time codes down in the description.
Codes. But anyway, yeah. So the whole concept for this is that it's a trap is being set at this concert for a serial killer. In the trailer,
it's like take your daughter to Taylor Swift concert.
Yeah. Which honestly, the concept is pretty cool. It's a pretty novel concept. And from what I understand, like this movie is going to cover like the entirety of a concert experience. So I'm sure I wouldn't be surprised if the start of this movie is the start.
My goodness,
getting there.
3.5 hours. She's still going. Another costume change. This lady's relentless.
But that just seems like a very cool framing device for this. So I'm pretty excited for that. But yeah, then it turns out that it looks like Josh Hartnett, who plays the lead in this, is a serial killer.
Yes, he is the serial killer for which the trap is being set.
Yes, and that would be cool to see in the movie. My theory is that it's actually the daughter in some way.
No.
Yeah.
I disagree.
I think. And whether it's the twist is going to be it's the daughter and I not necessarily a killer, but she's like a monster of some sort.
The twist is that the daughter tipped the police.
Yeah. Maybe.
The twist is there's a bigger serial killer.
Here's the thing. I think
and his inflated ego thought they were talking about him.
I guess regardless, I mean, honestly, that would be kind of funny. But I think that the daughter will be involved in some way. I feel like that'd make for a very good Shyamalan twist. But we'll see. I mean, I guess Knock at the Cabin didn't really have a twist, so maybe this won't either.
No, the twist was they're all I guess spoilers for Knock at the Cabin. 30 seconds. Here you go. Skip ahead. 3, 2, 1. All right. Knock at the Cabin. They're all like the angels of
the 4 horsemen.
4 horsemen. Yeah,
that's what it is. I guess that's right, but it was just a bad twist. Dumb twist. And it wasn't very good. Very, I don't know. It wasn't very surprising, I'd say.
I don't know. I feel like that's either something you will know and already understand, or you're just like, oh, I wasn't aware enough of that lore to understand that. And I guess it doesn't really mean anything.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, about this, I don't know. It's M. Night Shyamalan, so who knows? The quality may vary, but it's
gonna be a ride.
Yeah, at least it looks interesting.
I'm excited, Holden. For we cannot talk about M. Night Shyamalan without a little Shyamalama ding dong in there.
Absolutely. And he, Josh Hartnett, who plays the lead, he is. He's a pretty underrated actor in a lot of people's books. He was in Oppenheimer, but I'm not super familiar with a lot of the stuff he's been in. But I've seen a lot of people online be like, oh yeah. Thank goodness he's finally getting another lead role. So
August 9th, he's in Pearl Harbor. Okay, that's what I know him from. Okay. I was like, what is he in? Black Hawk Down, The Faculty, 30 Days at Night, and some other movies.
Oh yeah, he's
the Virgin
I think he's
Suicides.
One of the main kids in the Virgin Suicides, which I have seen. But it's cool. Seems like someone who's been working for a long time. Maybe doesn't get all the lead roles, but cool that he's getting that here. I'm excited for it.
I am too. August 9th, Brokaw. I love a good Shyamalama ding dong.
Absolutely, yep.
And we have 2 Shyamalama ding dongs this year because his daughter's got The Watchers. Which one do you think? Okay, here we go. What is even our bet? We have a 5 UN bet. I don't even know what it is.
Did we have a bet?
We did.
For this?
No, not for this. But let's have another bet going.
Okay.
What is going to have a higher Rotten Tomatoes score? The Watchers, daughter Shyamalama ding dong, or M. Night himself with Trap? What's going to have the higher Rotten Tomatoes? I'm going to say M. Night's got it this time.
I think so too.
Because The Watchers,
it seems pretty, I don't know, generic's not the right word, but it's just, I don't know. It just
seems like low ceiling to me. Like high, like that, the zone of different outcomes for that, like is like, I just don't see that movie having more than a 60%.
Yeah.
On Rotten
for
Tomatoes.
this one, M. Night Shyamalan is more of a, swing. We'll see. But I mean, the concept is at least very interesting. I'm sure he'll probably get a good performance out of Josh Hartnett. So that'll be something people will look at. So yeah, I don't know. I'm with you. So I'm not sure I necessarily want to bet against that.
All right. Then the closest to the Rotten Tomatoes score of the Trap then.
Okay, Trap. I'm gonna go 65.
Okay.
I feel like he's never gotten.
Well, I'll go 66 then. Okay, Price is
there
right.
We go. There we go.
We got to. You know what an over under is?
Yeah.
I know. Okay. I know you're not a sports guy.
Yeah.
But you are a huge gambling addict.
I am a gambling addict. Yeah. Very.
So I was going to set the over under at like 67.5% Rotten Tomatoes. So 67.5. So you did take the under.
Yeah,
I would have taken. There you go.
I'll do the under.
But I'm still taking 66 because you're a fool.
Okay. So if it's exactly 66.
There we go. Enough gambling talk. It's for all our Minnesota listeners, all you gamblers out there in Minnesota.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up for our next trailer, we have Hitman, which is a Netflix movie directed by Richard Linklater.
Not the Hitman's Bodyguard.
Not the Hitman's Bodyguard. It's just called Hitman. This is starring Glenn Powell.
He's the guy's in everything these days.
He is. See, the man does not sleep. He's getting all the work in the world, which is good for him. I enjoy him.
Top Gun Maverick, gee whiz.
Yeah.
He's just reaping it in.
Yeah. Spy Kids 3D. What'd you think of this trailer?
I saw Spy Kids 3D in theaters.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, with the 3D glasses.
I never saw it in theater. I did see it years later.
This movie looks fun. It's a wait and see for me. June 7th, Netflix. So he's a fake hitman. He pretends to be a hitman.
He's for the police.
The police.
Yeah, he's like a police officer.
Okay. I like all the different makeup and styles. That seems fun.
Yeah. It'll be cool to see him give off a bunch of different little performances. This is a movie that was at like film festivals last year that has gotten a lot of people enjoyed. Okay. So that's kind of interesting to see. But a lot of the praise was going towards him and his various outfits, just how far he goes with it. It might go even farther than what we saw in the trailer. So cool concept, apparently loosely based on a true story, which is interesting. Seems funny. I like Richard Linklater from the Before trilogy that he directed, but he also did like School of Rock and stuff.
He did School of Rock?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's done a lot of different things. He did Dazed and Confused, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I know a lot of people love. Yeah, I for me, it's a brokaw. I think it looks funny, interesting. I'll probably watch it. So
sure, I'll give it a brokaw. No gambling bets on this one. I got nothing.
Interesting. Yeah. Next up, Jimmy, Deadpool and Wolverine. New trailer just came out today as of recording.
Yes.
What do you think of this?
Okay, Jimmy. I'm going to give it a brokaw.
Okay.
And I kind of have a caveat because it's not really about the trailer itself, but I forgot until watching this trailer that this is a good trailer and excites me for the movie. You know, I like Deadpool. I don't love Deadpool. Yep. I could live the rest of my life without a Deadpool movie. I think this will be a lot of fun. We're kind of over the Ryan Reynolds shtick.
Yeah,
we'll see if it still is good as Deadpool. You know, I like the line and when he's like, you know, if you don't want to take a deep breath through your forehead in 3 seconds, you know, you better say whatever.
I've through our Ryan Reynolds bashing, I've always said I think it works better when he's Deadpool, but I've also not seen Deadpool since I've started not liking Ryan Reynolds. So I don't, maybe that doesn't hold true.
I just don't, I feel like these movies do they hold up in a second viewing? Because I've only seen them both once, but that's regardless of the point.
Yeah.
I wanted to say that I had forgotten that Deadpool 2's marketing was fantastic because the trailers gave nothing away about the movie, and they were all just like, you know, there was the Bob Ross one, or like when he's trying, was it the second one or the original one? He's like in the telephone booth?
That was the second one.
Yeah,
like, that was good. That was great.
These are like little like vignettes or short films that they made specifically for the marketing. Blade Runner 2049 did something similar. I mean, that obviously didn't work.
Yeah, but it was cool.
But I think for Deadpool especially, like that works so much, and I don't. You know, it could be a thing where they improv a lot of the jokes, so maybe they do swap out jokes for the final cut. But it's like I don't really want to know the punchlines.
No,
before because it takes away from the moment.
Yeah.
So I wish they had done that because it was so good for Deadpool 2. I think it is one of the greatest marketing campaigns for movies. I wish more movies were like that, where they just captured the essence of the movie without revealing anything about the movie itself. So I still got to give it a brokaw. I am very excited. I mean, Hugh Jackman, obviously very, very good as Wolverine. Matthew McFadyen in the TVA, and then Deadpool himself. So again, some good lines in the trailer. Again, fourth wall breaking with Kevin Feige said we can't say cocaine. Cocaine is off the table. So we'll see. I'm like trying to, hold back my expectations for this because I do not want to be let down by this movie. So just tempering them a little bit.
Sure.
Where are you at, Holden?
I enjoyed the trailer. Similarly, I think Deadpool 2's marketing campaign was so good. And I think they could have really just done that again in a lot of ways. Because I think the reason they were able to do that with the second one was because the first one was such a hit, became like instantly iconic for a lot of people, especially people that weren't familiar with Deadpool prior. And so they were able to just be like, oh yeah, it's just more Deadpool. Here's more Deadpool again. And
what year was Deadpool 2? Is that 2019?
That was like 2018.
2018. So this is that was like a pre-TikTok. Like I feel like especially in this TikTokified social media landscape that you can't. Don't tell me that you couldn't have gotten. I mean, Hugh Jackman seems like he would have definitely just sat down. Well, yeah,
that's the other thing. Like, I think you could have done something similar, but include Hugh Jackman this time. And they kind of did that initially,
very early on.
Very early on. They did several when they were announcing it, when they were teasing it. They did a lot of stuff with just Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. And I get you want to have the characters, you want to show little bits from the movie, whatever. But I feel like you could just
they
film
still
a little
did
extra
that,
stuff.
but it was just like you had no idea what was happening. I mean, it was just really small glimpses.
Yeah, so it's a good trailer. I'm excited for it. I think the fact that the humor is not grating for me in the trailer is probably a good sign. But we'll see. I am very excited to see how they play into the Fox stuff. I liked seeing the big 20th Century Fox.
Was that just for the trailer, do you think?
I don't know. It was pretty fun. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it's in the movie too, but it was pretty funny. So we'll see. I'm excited for it. I think I'll give it a brokaw.
There we go.
Bunch of brokaws for the trailers this week. Next up, non-trailer related news, Jimmy. Tarantino's next film. You excited for it?
Well, the movie critic, you know me, I was kind of like, if this is going to be his last one. So
yeah, but it was announced this week that Tarantino is scrapping it actually as his final film. And it was also this week, it was said that Brad Pitt's character, Cliff Booth, was going to be featured in it from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is interesting. So I'm, disappointed because it's going to be longer until we get a new Tarantino movie, presumably. I also, the way it was worded in articles, and I don't know if this was exactly what he intended, but it seemed like he was scrapping it just because it wasn't the note he wanted to leave on exactly. This wasn't the final film he wanted to be his final film. In which, just gets to my longstanding point of why is he just doing 10 movies? He's just forcibly putting this limit on himself.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I understand that. And that's what a lot of people are saying online is, it's very arbitrary.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a good sign, though, that he did this because he's just not going to do it unless it's incredible. Yeah. And I mean, he clearly... because he's always been committed to this 10 movie thing, and he liked the concept of this movie from the start, and for whatever reason, it just wasn't working, or he fell out of love with the story. And I think it was good that he didn't go with the sunk cost fallacy. He cut his losses and just said, "Look, this is not going to be it. I've sunk years into this, and I'm going to start over from scratch."
Yeah.
And the concept never really did do it for me. I mean, it was like, okay, well, I guess. I mean, I'm always going to be excited for a new Tarantino movie, but like a movie about a film critic is like, that's not what I drew up.
Sure.
I'd rather have the weird Star Trek thing.
Yeah, which that would be. What if you went back to that? That'd be interesting. But yeah, no, I thought it was a weird final film. I thought it would be because we didn't really know that much plot wise about it, other than it followed kind of, or it partially followed this movie critic. I think he could have done some interesting things with it. Just maybe, not go full meta or anything, but he could do some commentary about his time in the film industry with that or whatever. But yeah, I ultimately I'm mostly just disappointed that it's going to take longer for a new Tarantino movie to come out, because it's going to be 5 years this summer since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think.
Do you want more of like the hangout movie of like Pulp Fiction, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, or do you want the more like guns blazing, Inglourious Bastards, Django Unchained kind of style? I mean,
Pulp Fiction is my favorite of his, but I don't know. I mean, I like both styles almost equally. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is really good, and that movie is like just grown on me the more times I've seen it too. I don't know what style I would want. Movie Critic sounded like it was going to be more of that former style,
the
hangout style. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you'd rather have the guns blazing.
I think so. I don't need another hangout LA movie. I mean, I only saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood once. I really did like it.
Yeah.
We did it on the podcast.
Yeah. First year we had it.
But yeah, no, I Inglourious Bastards is my favorite one. And I really like Django as well. But again, I also like Jackie Brown a lot. I think people sleep on that. We also reviewed that and checked out that review. That one's a fun one.
Yeah.
So I think I would prefer Guns Blazing, something a little bit more action heavy, just more blockbustery, fun. And of course, ancient history, just throw it in there.
Yeah.
Do that. Go back farther in time. You did the Wild West. You did World War II. Come on, go back farther.
See, I feel like that's why I need to do the Star Trek movie next. He needs to go the opposite direction.
Oh, future?
Yeah, future.
Yeah. I feel like Quentin Tarantino could have made a really good Indiana Jones movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel like that'd be right in his wheelhouse.
Yeah. I wonder what he thinks of the Indiana Jones movies, Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, I don't know.
I have no idea.
He probably likes the original 3. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, you know what? I just like Temple of Doom because you just have all this weird stuff going on.
The original movies are so inspired by like stuff from the 50s, and so I'm sure he loves it because he loves early Hollywood stuff, like first half of the 20th century.
Knowing Tarantino will do some sort of revenge Western-esque thing.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll do like a samurai thing. I could see him doing something like that. Samurai revenge film.
I mean, that's kind of what Kill Bill is.
But I guess.
Just set in the U.S.
Yeah. I'm actually going to go with Brokaw for this. So I think it's a good thing that the Movie Critic is not happening. I'd be cool to get a story synopsis of it. He will never do it because he's kind of...
Well, I mean...
he might write it as a book.
I could see him writing it as a book, maybe.
Yeah, so but it's not... The story itself may not be dead.
Yeah, I'll give it a Bergeron, mostly just because I want a new Tarantino movie, but I am, happy about him trying to be a little perfectionist about it, so cool, good for him. Next up, Jimmy, another thing that's not being made anymore, Jon Snow's TV show, apparently. Kit Harington says it's currently not in development because they couldn't find the right story to tell.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Yeah, what a surprise. The show that was entirely probably in development just to have more Game of Thrones be made, they didn't have the right story. So
that's fine. Bergeron, because cool. It would have been really cool to find the right story and tell it and have Game of Thrones end with a different note and maybe have some returning characters. But Bergeron, is probably better.
They could have gone the Dexter route and have a new series come out where apparently the ending is also not very good. Like the second series. So, I'll go Bergeron on this one too because I like Game of Thrones. I feel like I'm hard on Game of Thrones sometimes just because of how it ended, but House of the Dragon's good. So, yeah. Next up, Jimmy. Ryan Gosling's new film coming out in a couple years is an adaptation of the book Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, who's the author of the Martian book, which the movie is based off of. This is going to be directed by Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and written by Drew Goddard, who also wrote the Martian film. It follows a man who wakes from a coma with amnesia and figures out he was sent 12 light years away from Earth to save humanity. Brief synopsis. I've never read the book myself. What do you think of this?
I'm all for this. Brokaw. Emily's read it and she liked it. And she doesn't even really like sci-fi. So
okay, interesting.
Yes. And Ryan Gosling, the greatest living actor.
Ryan Gosling, great. Phil Lord and Chris Miller, great. I don't think they've done. I'm trying to think the last time they did a live action film because
Solo.
Yeah, the Solo. The part of their part of Solo that got scrapped. Yeah, because before that, I think the Jump Street movies, which are good, but I don't know if there's anything after that. It's a cool concept. Ryan Gosling, those people. I'll give it a Brokaw.
There we go. That's an easy one.
Oh, and I because it was on the next page, I forgot to mention, coming out March 20th, 2026. So a couple years away.
No.
Jimmy, my either favorite or second favorite director, I can never remember, Edgar Wright, his next movie is a remake of The Running Man, apparently. This is starring Glenn Powell. Another thing he's doing. But I forgot that The Running Man, so The Running Man was an 80s movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. It was an adaptation of a Stephen King story. But apparently this is going to be closer to the Stephen King story than the Schwarzenegger movie was. It follows a man who joins a reality show in the future where he has to evade a team of hitmen, connection, Glenn Powell, in order to win money. So,
okay, it sounds funny. Sounds
a televised kind of event here.
Sounds like a lot of whip pan fast Edgar Wright action.
Yeah, that's kind of what I
think. Some tunes.
Yeah, I think I don't know. Stephen King, so I wouldn't be surprised if the story there, his story is very serious in tone, but I could see Edgar Wright putting a lot of fun stuff into this. Yeah. And Glenn Powell has comedic chops. So I think he would be a good choice for something like that. Yeah, I don't know. I have not read the Stephen King story. I have not seen the Schwarzenegger movie. Concept seems fun. Seems like it's a story that is very influential on things we've gotten since too. So it'll be kind of cool to see where that presumably started or was, influenced so many things. Love Edgar Wright. So for me, it's a Brokaw.
I'll give it a Brokaw for you, Holden.
Yeah, big Edgar Wright fan, even though we didn't love Last Night in Soho. So he's mostly hits. Jimmy, the Office reboot seems to be indeed happening as more things come out about it. Apparently, Domhnall Gleeson is going to be starring in it, as well as Sabrina Impacciatore. I don't know if that's how you say her name.
Impacciatore.
Yeah, Italian. She was the manager of the hotel in White Lotus season 2.
Yes.
What do you think of this?
I don't care. I don't really care. I'm in Bergeron. I'm not going to watch this.
Yeah, I'm probably at a Bombadil because it does not sound that interesting to me. Although Domhnall Gleeson being in it is weird.
I don't think of Domhnall Gleeson as funny.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he'll prove us wrong.
Yeah, maybe.
But it just seems weird to get someone have someone like Domhnall Gleeson attached to this, considering he's not like a huge star, but he does movies.
Yeah, he's in Ex Machina.
He's in Ex Machina. He's in
Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah. Jimmy, 28 years later, apparently the trilogy seems to be moving full forward, but apparently Danny Boyle is not going to be directing all 3 of the movies.
Okay.
He's directing the first one, and seemingly Nia Decosta, who just got off of the Marvels and did that Candyman reboot thing a few years ago, is in talks to direct the second film of the trilogy.
I think those movies are pretty well directed. So
yeah,
I'll give it a Brokaw. Sure, why not? I mean, sure. Nia DaCosta, give it to her.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that I don't know if Alex Garland is going to be writing the whole thing, but I think
he is.
Okay,
I think he's like, I had an idea for a trilogy, so I'm doing it.
Okay, so it won't be a Star Wars sequel trilogy, presumably, where they don't have a plan going forward. But
what are they going to call the other one? 28 years later. 28 more years later.
28 centuries later.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I'll give it a Brokaw because, as you said, those 2 movies have their faults, but pretty well directed overall. So, Jimmy, Margot Robbie is producing a Monopoly movie for Hasbro. Apparently, this is just her thing now. Do you have any thoughts on this?
So she's got the Sims movie. This one, is there another one?
Well, just that she produced Barbie.
Okay, produced Barbie. Then well, I don't know what to say about this Monopoly movie.
Yeah, do you have high hopes for a Monopoly movie?
What are we doing? What? I don't know. I don't. It's a movie that I don't know anything about, so I'm guessing a Bergeron. But in my heart, I want to give this a Bombadil.
I'll be the Bombadil for you.
Okay, there we go. What are we doing? Like, is there a story? Don't pass go.
Yeah.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. That's all I think of. Ace Ventura, When Nature Calls.
And then Jimmy, the final piece of news I have here. I just have a quote. Brian Cox in an interview talked about his thoughts on Joaquin Phoenix's performance.
Yes. Can you please do it in your Brian Cox voice?
I don't know if I could do one. Terrible. It's terrible.
It's terrible.
Yeah, I guess
a truly terrible performance by Joaquin Phoenix. It really is appalling. I don't know what he was thinking. I think it's totally his fault, and I don't think Ridley Scott helps him. I would have played it a lot better than Joaquin Phoenix. I tell you that. You can say it's good drama. No, it's lies. I think he's well named Joaquin Wacky. It's a sort of wacky performance. Okay, that last part. A little. What? I mean,
this man.
I'm pretty sure, rewinding the tape to our Napoleon review, I'm pretty sure I said Joaquin Phoenix was not very good.
I think I said he was fine, but I think we were both disappointed in him.
Napoleon, that movie stunk. At least someone else is saying it. There's a lot of I feel like cinephiles out there who are just wanted to like that movie and just convince themselves.
There's a lot of Ridley
good.
Scott apologists out there that really like it.
I just think that movie is just pretty poopy. You know, it's just not a good film and just boring.
Yeah, I don't know.
How do you take such an interesting individual in history and make them so boring?
I mostly just think this quote is really funny because you don't just see actors just like attack actors' performances very often. It just shows how
he says it like it is.
Yeah, Brian Cox does not care. And my favorite part is I think it's totally his fault. Like, laying blame completely at Joaquin Phoenix.
I think my favorite part is when he just makes fun of his name.
Yeah, that's good too.
That's a very
wacky.
That's a very old man thing to do.
It's very Trump, honestly. Very Trump-esque quote there.
Maybe in the great twist of irony, he is method acting as Logan Roy.
Well, that's what I feel like. Everything I've seen about Brian Cox, every interview he's had since like Succession has ended, it is very Logan Roy-esque, just like in the way he talks. So maybe he was not acting. Who knows?
Why are you recording me? F off. There we go. That's it, right?
Yeah, that's it.
What are we gonna give Brian Cox?
Brian Cox. I mean, I think the
Bob
quote
Vanilla, keep giving his great content. Or excuse me,
Brokaw. I think the quote wise, absolutely, it's a Brokaw. Keep giving us quotes like this.
Thank you for agreeing and affirming that Napoleon was bad. And I do think that you would have done a better job. Not sure how that would have worked, especially like you supposed to be younger. You know, maybe not. I don't know. I don't think there's a world where Brian Cox today. Maybe he meant like back in the day.
Yeah, probably. That's probably.
I don't know.
It would be very funny to just like have old Brian Cox just play young Napoleon in a movie. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, but with that, believe that's it for Tom's this week. Mm-hmm. Was there any? I feel like there was a game news thing that I'm forgetting, but maybe not. Yeah, maybe. Okay. If we can't remember, it doesn't matter. With that, we'll get on to our review.
Yes.
Of Rebel Moon Part 2.
And there we go.
The Scargiver.
The Scargiver. Yeah, we're going to jump straight into spoilers for this one. So you might as well just listen to this and enjoy us give this movie some scars. Here we go. Rebel Moon Part 2. Spoiler review right after this.
All right, spoilers for Rebel Moon Part 2, The Scargiver, the new Zack Snyder film, Part 2 of Rebel Moon, which we talked about in December. Go back and listen to our review of that.
Yes, go back. And Holden, can I just get into it? Can I go?
Okay, let me say before you start
unleash me, let me at it.
This is one of the worst big budget movies I've ever seen. Maybe the worst big budget movie I've ever seen. So we were talking about it last week on the podcast about whether or not this is going to be worse than Madam Web. I think this is worse than Madam Web.
It might be.
At the very least, it is not as entertaining as Madam Web. Madam Web is very funny. And yeah, this movie is doo-doo, really bad. Worse than the first one, although I think the first one, I gave the first one a 1 out of 10, 2 out of 10.
It was your least favorite movie last year.
Yeah. Okay. And this is going to be my least favorite movie. I can't imagine there's going to be a worse movie than this that I see this year, quite frankly.
Okay. Well, before I go in, I thought Part 1 was uninspired but fine and like watchable, and I didn't hate it. And I talked about like the emotional core of it, which again, briefly, just like how this Princess Issa character seemed to me like Zack Snyder's daughter, you know, who he lost to suicide. I thought that was like a nice emotional core. I also have a soft spot for it because it's like, you know, this was like his passion project that he'd been dreaming about for decades. So it's like, you know, I have those ideas and dreams in my head. That's like, oh, if I was in Zack Snyder's position, I made this, and and then people just crapped on it. I had a soft spot for that, for those kind of two elements of it. This movie is just horrible. I mean, it is
1 out of 10.
And the other thing that I always like to say is that before we just kind of rip apart this movie, again, Zack Snyder, he made a film, and I think that is, again, incredibly difficult to do. Even to make a bad movie, I think you have to be very talented. and so like and all the other people who put work into this, and I just think that before we get in, like, he did something that I have not done and almost certainly will not do in my life. So credit to Zack Snyder. I still respect the guy as a director. I think he's got a lot of potential if he can just not write his own movies.
Credit to the man for wasting a blank check from Netflix.
But yeah, with that, I do like Zack Snyder's other movies. I like 300 quite a bit. And what else do I think I just think a lot of his movies are a lot better than people give him credit.
His cut of Justice League is fine. Yeah. Dawn of the Dead is probably my favorite of the ones he's done, and that's his first. And he also did not write it. So that was a James Gunn joint.
A James Gunn joint, huh?
Yeah.
All right, now can I go?
Yeah. Sure.
I think the biggest problem for me in this movie, particularly the first half of this movie, is just there is no sense of urgency. Mm-hmm. For a movie that is like immediately establishes, okay, there is a huge sense of urgency. Nobody is in a hurry to do anything. No. And it is so distracting. They're like, oh no. Okay, first off, before we even dive into this whole, like, I have like 10 sub notes for that part.
For that one part.
But before that, there is no function to Admiral Noble dying at the end of the first movie. No. Not a single one.
No, you're right.
Yeah. Just immediately comes back to life.
Well, yeah, okay. That's a good point, too, because it doesn't even function to, like, it's not even, because the movie started and you had, I can't believe I remember his name, Titus, Jimon Hansu's character, come in and he's like, oh, Noble's dead. Like, they're to all the villagers, happy. They're all happy. And so initially in my head, I'm like, okay, so are they like, do they think the threat's gone? Is that going to like bite them in the butt?
Yeah, the dreadnought's not coming back. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. And then that one guy who whatever his name is, who knows? Way too many characters. Guys? No, it's the defected soldier guy. From the first movie.
Yeah.
Don't remember anything about him.
I completely forgot he talked to that.
And he's like, nope, you're wrong. He's actually alive and they're coming back. Or he doesn't maybe know they're alive, but he's like, he doesn't know Admiral Nobody's. He's like, but they're coming.
Yeah.
30 seconds.
Yeah. So it doesn't even serve the purpose of like throwing the main characters off guard. Because sure, they don't know he's alive specifically, but they still have to prep for this like invasion. And really, there's no difference there.
But okay, well, no, hold on. I take it back, because how else would he get his scar?
Yeah, we wouldn't know who the Scargiver is.
That's the only reason she's the Scargiver, right?
I think so. I don't think they call her the Scargiver in the first movie, do they?
I don't remember, but see, I feel bad if I'm making fun of it and I'm wrong, but
who cares? it's not like it's not going to be much better. Literally, the name is Scargiver, so at best, the most charitable is that she killed someone and they're like, oh, Scargiver, like or hurt someone, Scargiver. It's a dumb name, regardless.
It's really bad. It's really bad, especially if the scar that she gives Admiral Noble is the reason she's called the Scargiver, which again, I haven't gone back to revisit that first one, and also it's like on his chest. Mm-hmm. Put it on his face.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm going to go take her to the Senate.
And I'm just going to look like the Joker.
I'm going to take my shirt off, I guess.
Yeah.
And then show them the Scargiver. I'm like, no one. Okay, first off, no one else is calling her that. No. You are calling her that. Nobody knows who you're talking about. He's like, you like say
yeah,
it.
It's literally only him. He's just like, we have the Scargiver in our sights or something. Like,
I don't think anybody else in the movie says Scargiver.
No, I don't think so.
It's bad. It's really bad. Okay, back to the no sense of urgency. They're like. So they're, oh my gosh, we need to get the harvest ready in 5 days. Immediately, all the farmers, the villagers are like, oh, it's impossible. We cannot do that. Oh my gosh. So you are asking the impossible of this. Yeah. There is just zero way this could ever
so much grain.
Happen. There's just way too much grain. I was like, are they going to have to like invent something to grow the grain? Oh no, the grain has just already been grown, apparently.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So
how long have they been gone? How long have our main characters been gone?
I don't know, because that part doesn't. I don't even like. Yeah, good point. But who knows? They'd probably say it somewhere. Probably, hopefully, maybe give them the benefit of the doubt. Hold them. Oh, it's been 2 months since you've been gone. Anyway, the grain's all been grown, And then they're like, oh, we can't harvest it in 5 days. That's just going to be impossible. So, okay, I guess they don't.
And then Titus is like, yeah, you can.
He's like, yes, you can. Oh, as a general and a gladiator, yes, you can. I just know better than you about farming on your own planet.
And then they do it.
Why don't you just use these space horses that literally just have a weird face, and that's the only thing unique about them? And you call them
sound
urukai,
like horses, and
which is a word from Lord of the Rings.
Do they call them urukai?
It's like Uraki. It's literally spelled like Uraki. I'm like, wow.
I didn't remember that.
So harvest the grain somehow in 5 days. Okay. Oh my gosh, we cannot do this. You know what? How about let's just go to bed tonight and just start tomorrow morning?
Yeah, we'll just do it first thing.
And then then they're like banging the thing, wake up, you gotta work, we gotta if you were actually in a life or death situation, would you really need to do that? Would you really need to hype people up?
No.
Oh my gosh, hey, you know that one guy that just murdered the person who was in charge of our village and threatened our lives? Yeah, he's coming back. It's not like they haven't seen the threat or anything. They know what the threat is. There's no sense of urgency. The kids do jack squat. They do
they're
nothing.
just hanging out.
They just are playing in the fields. Put those kids to work.
Yeah.
Child labor. Let's go.
Okay in this situation.
Lightsaber sword lady just sleeps the whole time. What is she doing?
And then there's the kid who just likes her for no reason. There's literally no reason. She's just this silent whatever, kind of a grump in some ways. And there's this kid who imprints on her for some reason.
What is even her name? I could not tell you. Nemesis.
I wrote down a couple of the characters. I did have I wrote down notes about them, and so I did have their names down. So I do know it's Nemesis. She's one of the worst characters, quite frankly.
Okay, I like the idea of the arm thing, but it's nothing. It's just nothing. There's no substance.
Yeah, jumping ahead a little bit, she cuts off her arms for some reason, gives herself robot arms that are powered by the blood of her ancestors that teach her how to fight.
I didn't even remember that part.
Yeah, something like that. I'm like, okay. What? So weird. And then she has lightsabers that are
Zack Snyder's like, okay, well, how do I have lightsabers without lightsabers?
We're gonna have the good guys have red lightsabers and the bad guys have blue lightsabers.
That is original. That is original. Okay, this is the part that just gets me. Apparently, they could just do the harvest in 5 days with relative ease.
Yeah, it didn't seem that difficult.
Begs the question, why don't they always just do that?
Yeah.
Why would you have something that takes weeks upon weeks if you just all work together?
Work hard for 5 days,
and then you could just take off the rest of the year.
Yeah.
You're farmers. It's not like, oh, you're salaried. You're like,
yeah.
Why would you not do that?
I did want to mention this movie has the most slow-mo of any Zack Snyder movie I've ever seen in my life. It's like a parody of itself. And the farming, part of the reason why the farming scenes take so long is because it's all in slow-mo.
Nothing like slow-mo farming.
Yeah, my dad was texting me some stuff during this, and I made a note of it here too. But when Jimon Hansu is filling up the water bottle, it's in slow-mo for some reason. It takes a full 30 seconds at least to get through that one action for some reason.
Because later on, Holden, they're like, "What's in there?" And they're like, "Water."
Oh yeah, true. You don't even need that because you could just have the reveal, just have Korra reveal that to people. It's fine, whatever. Who cares? It's not important. You don't need 30 seconds of slow-mo him filling up water.
No, I don't know, Holden. That was pretty cool.
That's foreshadowing right there.
It really demonstrates the urgency.
Yeah.
Somehow they find time to train as well, and not just train. They build these straw dummies, and they just obliterate them right away.
Dozens of them at least.
Who's working on these?
And the training montages are so bad because it feels like those straw people are just 5 feet in front of them. They're just pointing a gun at this thing oh, I'm not sure I can hit it. And
I wonder if I can hit it with this blunderbuss from 3 feet away.
Yeah. And I'm sure the intention was for them to be farther away, but it was not conveyed that way with how it was filmed at all.
Let's sit down and have a big feast, Holden. And this is the worst part of this whole freaking movie right here. And I'm not even to the two worst parts of this movie right here. All right. First off, you have farm girl. That's what I'm just called. Farm girl. Main farm girl.
Yeah, that's all she is. Farm girl.
She knits them or sews them all like these banners.
Blanket banner things.
When did she do that? And how does she know these people at all?
Yeah, like, okay,
by the definition, it has been less than 5 days. She does not know these people. She knows Gunner, and I guess she knows Cora. She doesn't know anybody else. And yet I'm going to like sew these banners, which heaven knows how long it took to do those.
They look pretty
what day
ornate.
did she start doing that?
Yeah.
And then she's got a whole reason why. And one is she's like, Titus, you looked strong. So okay, maybe he looked strong and he represented like a mountain or whatever it was. But when did this happen? Why isn't she farming? Like this is a life or death situation and she's just sewing these banners for these people she doesn't know at all, but for some reason has this huge depth of knowledge and is a lifelong friend with them all of a sudden.
Well, here's the thing. Not only would the character not reasonably know anything about these people, but we literally know nothing about these people. So you don't even like in a better, more well-constructed like in narrative or whatever, you could at least make the argument like, okay, you know, it doesn't make sense that she knows these things, but you know, we're recognizing these character traits about these people, whatever, it's fine. But we literally like she's saying things that we have not seen at all, and we don't see throughout this movie. Like it's not. This is not anything we know about these people. Yeah, Titus. They say something like, "Oh, he's like unmoving, like a mountain or something," and for like Nemesis, they say something about that she's very kind or like quiet and like we don't see this, like we don't know anything about these. You have the really ripped guy who was like a slave in the last movie.
That guy is very ripped.
Yeah,
My word,
maybe one of the most ripped people I've ever seen.
Seriously,
in my life. But is
a very good looking man. Like he's like a Zack Snyder
definition of washboard abs.
Yes,
right but maybe one of the worst characters in this. I keep saying that. I'm going to say that about every character in this because they're all like one of the worst characters in the movie because none of them are good. So. Yeah, that was a bad scene. I was just thinking that the whole time.
But the worst scene is when they sit around and they're like, Titus is like, well, I'm not one for confessions, but we got to go one by one and tell our backstory.
Let's just go, tell our backstories. And it's very sequential too.
My gosh.
Like there's no them like talking over each other, inquiring anything. There's no bleeding of stories or anything. It's literally you'll just have Titus give a monologue. There's a flashback. The entire flashback is in slow-mo.
Oh my gosh.
And then it goes to the next person who does the same exact thing. And the backstories of these people are like the most cookie cutter backstories you've ever heard of any hero in any. And it's just like you take like one movie, you take that backstory of the hero from that movie, put them on one of the characters here, take another movie, another character. It's generic, incredibly generic.
There's just way too many characters in this movie.
Yeah.
Like either you need to make it a series or you just need to get rid of at least half of these characters because you're not doing any of them justice. I don't know anything about any of these people except what you just tell me, and there's no depth to it. The only good thing I can say about that entire sequence is I thought the one washboard abs guy, his world looked kind of cool. It was like a futuristic steampunk Victorian era.
Yeah, the one shot we get of it on the outside.
Yeah, and his mom like jumps off the thing.
I can't even remember what his deal was. They just got
invaded,
like, and
his dad, you don't become a man until the day your dad dies, and then you're the king. And then there was like that bird griffin thing that he tamed. Kind of was there.
Yeah, I don't know. So much of this movie, I should mention here. This was one of the most boring, painful movie watching experiences I think I've ever had. I watched it yesterday. And I did it in the afternoon, and I came home. I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch it. Started around 2:00. I don't think I got done until like 2 or like 4:45, really. It took me at least like an extra 45 minutes to watch this movie because I kept getting up and like doing things and getting distracted. I'm like, it was not gripping me in the slightest. You at least watched it on your elliptical, right? So you were like trapped there.
Yeah, working out.
Yeah.
Working out with nothing to do while these slow motion shots are happening.
I guess that's true, yeah.
Anybody editing a movie should be doing it on a treadmill. Honestly, edit this movie, do it on a treadmill. You don't need that. Get it out, cut it, go, next.
I do want to say, Cora and Gunnar,
they love each other?
They love each other.
What?
Why? There have been there's never been two actors with less chemistry than these two.
It's like, why do they love each other?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
They're like, oh, they're the main characters. They need to kiss now.
I didn't start taking notes until about 10 minutes in, and the first note I have down was like, I think it was Gunnar said it. It was one of the two. They're interchangeable, whatever. But he's like, it wasn't death that scared me. It was the thought of losing you.
Oh my! I didn't even remember that one.
Yeah. And then after they have presumably slept together, Cora then says, "Remember how I told you?" And then proceeds to exposit tons of info from the first movie that we already knew. That's very funny.
My last piece about the just zero urgency.
Oh yeah,
is she just gives herself a haircut too. Oh, in my opinion, a worse looking haircut. Well, too. I thought her hair was cooler before.
Yeah,
and then she just also and then they're taken by surprise when they show up. I was like, what
you have been prepping for this?
What they're like, oh crap, we gotta hurry and finish this stuff up. Like you guys seem like you have been fine.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Can we talk about the flashback with the king getting assassinated?
Oh my!
Carrie Elwes, who I forgot who was in this.
Oh, I didn't.
Was that the one?
Can we talk about the makeup and hair, the wigs? It looks so bad that Carrie Elwes. I love him as an actor. Mm-hmm. The makeup and hairstyling of this movie is horrible.
Yeah,
it is distracting. In that scene in particular. It is distractingly awful. Mm-hmm. It is so phony looking and fake. And that whole sequence is so bad. It's like, oh, you know what? The Julius Caesar assassination. Here we go. Here, I'm going to be really subtle about this. The senators are going to be wearing togas and they're going to take knives out of their togas. Really subtle. What's going on here?
Well,
hey, this isn't right.
I loved the space string quartet that was
with the bags over their head.
Yeah,
I guess
it was literally just like a string quartet you would find on Earth, but in space.
Yeah, well, they have bags over their heads, so there's space.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. What does that mean? They're slaves or something, or prisoners? I don't know. I feel like there maybe was some connection there.
They did like the Red Wedding thing where
that's
music
what I was
changes.
Like. The music. I was like, they just did the Red Wedding. I was like, this is Julius Caesar's assassination mixed with the Red Wedding combined, and just made it 30 times less interesting than either of those things. It makes zero sense. They just killed him, and then Balastar's is like, well, you obviously have to be the one that shoots the princess for some reason.
Yeah.
And then when you do, we're just going to frame you for all of this?
Yeah, okay.
And you're my adopted daughter?
First off, I want to say his delivery of the line, do it, kill her, is very funny. In general, I think I remember from the first movie too, what little he's in both movies. Not a very good performance, I would say. Kind of funny.
Well, he's the big bad though. You gotta save him.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. But yeah, I also noted down what a dumb plan to frame your highly skilled assassin adopted daughter for the murder of the royal family. Like what's you can do it.
Hey, hold on, then it's believable.
I guess. Yeah.
What's her real name? Arthelaus. Arthelaus.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. I'll take your word for it. I'm just gonna. Oh, yeah, it is Arthelaus.
Look at that. Look at that pull, Holden. That's why you keep me around.
Yeah.
Horrible scene.
Yeah.
Horrible scene.
Well, horrible one of
wait a second. Scenes. What's this? What's going on here? I love Carrie. So Carrie Elwes, just being Carrie Elwes, made that scene enjoyable for me.
I wrote down here.
No, please don't.
I wrote down here, Admiral Noble. This guy's bad news. He killed one of his own men.
What did he?
Just that generic like bad guy thing where he's so bad.
How's this for your prognostic test or whatever? I did want to say quickly, just before we completely leave that assassination scene, the shot where Princess Issa gets shot and it's the light, that effect looks so bad.
Oh yeah, that looked like a stock After Effects.
They clearly just took like a little light and had it flicker. And I'm like, okay, they at least tried to do some sort of practical tie into it. Mm-hmm. But it is just like the default flare plug-in After Effects.
Oh, it was
just
so
doing this pulsating. I'm like, I could have made that shot. And in 10 minutes. What are we doing? Blank check. Netflix. God. Incredible.
Yeah. Can we talk about Jeff the Robot?
Jeff the Robot. Hold on. How did you forget his name? His name is literally Jimmy.
Yeah, I don't know.
And also call me James, because when you call me Jimmy, I have eternal despair or something. Yeah. It's like, James, when you call me that only gives me some sense of hope.
So for the majority of this movie, he's just standing afar staring at people doing things.
Yeah, what?
He's wearing
he just
horns.
shows up.
He's wearing horns.
He's cool looking. Like, the design is cool.
Yeah, but it's also like, it's a cool design. I like the horns on his head. That's kind of cool, but why is he wearing the horns?
You know what? He should be the main character of the movie. I honestly think having this like thing that's programmed to serve like it should be him and one other character, and that should be the movie.
I think because of the missed potential with him, I think he might be the worst character. Like, genuine, I keep saying that he might be the worst character.
I feel like there's at least something there that you could be interested in. Like, the other characters, like, there's nothing. They're just there to look cool and to fight.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think with him, it's like they like promise something with him that is just never gone into, and I would say like almost like completely ignored. Like, because in the first movie, he's in like the first part or whatever at the village, and that's, his setup there is kind of interesting, I guess. And then he's done nothing with for the rest of that movie. Mm-hmm. And then up until his scene with Cora in this movie, he has nothing done with still. And then after that scene with Cora, also has nothing to do for the rest of the movie. Like,
and what did they say at the end? I will join and fight or something?
Yeah, something like that. Okay, so now he's part of the rebel moon.
Go and I will fight.
Yeah, something like that. Because they're going to go find the princess.
Yeah. I will stay and fight? I don't know. Yeah. They say something and fight.
I will fight. I will and fight.
I will and fight.
Anyway, yeah, did not like him. So his I guess, jumping ahead about it, we can just cover all.
No, hold on. He did something. He gave us a very bad synopsis of what happened in the last movie.
Yeah, you're right. Yes, yeah, he did the voiceover at the beginning.
He also says really cringe. He says Gunnar.
Oh, does he?
He says Gunnar. Yeah, I honestly will pull it up on Netflix right now.
Gunnar.
Netflix. All right, I'm going to pull it up. He says Gunnar, and I was like, what? Really, really bad. Like, first off, the one time you don't like show something happen, you're just zooming in on, they're really not seeing anything. You should have just had some sort of montage there.
See, when that happened, I was thinking of Jodorowsky's Dune, the opening shot.
It was kind of like
but
that.
It was obvious, but way less interesting.
Not. I mean, it's trending #1 movie in the USA, Holden. A bajillion.
I have not seen, aside from my father who watched it the same time I did, I have not seen a single person talk about this movie. And I don't know.
It's all right. I'm pulling it up. Did
you see it? Gunnar.
All right, here we go.
Play it.
Fell upon their fields.
Here we go.
The ship's commander, Admiral Noble,
okay, it's coming.
Else people could give.
Here we go.
So it was that a woman named Cora and a man named Gunnar.
Oh, he does say Gunnar.
I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, there we go. I would immediately 30 seconds into the movie. Gunnar. Yeah.
Horrible.
Just wild. You know what? I will say the second half of this movie is fine. I think the second half of this movie returns to the first part 1, which is fine. I honestly think it's the first half, part 2, the third quarter of the whole thing, that is just so mind-bogglingly bad.
Yeah.
That it just cripples the whole thing for me.
I think for me, the
other stuff is just like brainless, uninspired entertainment.
Yeah, okay.
Spectacle.
So I think I hate the second half too. I think I enjoyed the first half more only because I was able to write funny notes about it. And I was able to think of funny things to say about it. The second half of this movie is horribly boring.
There's just nothing.
So boring.
It's just generic fighting.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. Like Zack Snyder, I mean, you always think of him, making some interesting fight scenes or whatever. You have this like concept of, this war happening or this big battle on the planet that's built up over the course of these two movies. And it is the worst fight scene I think Zack Snyder's probably ever directed, I would think, at least out of what I've seen. It just in terms of how boring it is. And it goes on so long.
Here's what I'll say. I think there are some good things in the final battle that's like the second half of the movie. Ish. It has points. At points, it has like decent geography of like what is happening and what are our objectives. Like a big tank will come out. Okay, we need to take out the big tank. Or we need to blow up the one part of the space station. Or I'm going back to the ship to meet Gunnar. Or I'm fighting here to protect the women and the children. There's like clear, like defined stakes and an objective, and we see how the objective like will help like overall goal of the battle. Mm-hmm. Whereas something like this was one of my problems when we watched like the Rings of Power, where there's like a fight scene and like it's just people fighting. There's nothing. There's like we might have named characters in there, but they're gonna have plot armor. It's like what are we trying to achieve in this battle? People don't just go and just fight. It's like a street fight. It's like if you're in a battle, like people are going to try to target specific things to give them an edge. And I think this movie does it okay. I mean, it's not Helm's Deep, where it's like something like that. But it does okay at that at times. And I think there are movies that just don't do that at all. So I'll give it some credit there. I do like the whole sequence of the dreadnought falling out of the sky. Now, it is similar to like Revenge of the Sith with the invisible hand or whatever is that what it's called? The General Grievous's ship coming down. That has elements of that in there as well. I don't know how anybody flies a ship out of that. Well, I'm like, this makes no sense.
Yeah.
How did they get back to their ship when they're like falling in the hang? Whatever. I thought that was kind of fun. It gave me some Uncharted like 2 vibes when like the building's falling too. I thought some of that was fun.
I was disappointed Admiral Noble did not have his whacking stick this time.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the whacking stick. He substituted it for a lightsaber.
Yeah, disappointing. Not as cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me, one of the things I don't like, and I think is just a flaw with the setup, is the village is too small. I think it's too small, and I think you could make if the movie was like better, you can make the argument that it's small, so then where things are happening at any given moment. Yeah. But I don't think you can really do that here very easily.
There's like 3 points of interest, or 4. Yeah. There's like the field, the bridge, that gong thing, and the longhouse.
I think like having a bigger village would, that are still just made up of simple farmers or whatever, would solve the problem of why does the Imperium or whatever want like the grain from this place? Because they could harvest more grain. Mm-hmm. You could have more people fighting because like people are dying in this, but it doesn't seem like there are that many villagers. But it just seems like there's an endless stream during the final fight.
Also, they seem like they kill so many of the Imperial soldiers.
Yeah.
And they just come out of nowhere. I'm like, where did these guys come out of the ship? Where did they come from?
Yeah.
Where did all this new stuff come from? They don't like show them taking off from the ship at all.
No. Yeah, and so I feel like also then you could just have more ground to cover for more varied like locations for fighting instead of it just being in the same 3, as you said, points of interest. It's so bland. I don't know. I don't know why it isn't a bigger village. I feel like that would make more logical sense. But.
Yeah, just more defined things because there's just a lot and there's a lot of slow motion shots of people just fighting each other. And it's just goopy laser blasts flying past people and nothing really is happening. And you have like little character moments, but again, we don't care about any of these people. I think the only like really like stakes of like it is when they're fighting to like protect the women and children.
Yeah. But I don't know, because that's where you have Nemesis, right? And Nemesis, like, her fight scene with the lightsabers is not very good. It's slow-mo once again. She has these cool weapons. I have no doubt that the actress probably can do these cool moves and everything. Because you get glimpses of that, but it is just, I don't know. It's like, it looks like kind of the worst, like Star Wars, like Ahsoka, like fight
I was gonna
scenes.
say a lot of the action feels like Disney Plus Star Wars.
Yeah, just like very lazy, not very well thought out or entertaining.
Like adequate.
Yeah,
it's like adequate. It's not horrible. It's passable.
Yeah,
but dude, Zack Snyder, this is your passion project.
Yeah.
The Nemesis fight, there's at least one shot where it's like her blades are not even close to like touching the person, and it kills them.
I think I know what you're talking about.
Where there's like a shot where it's like, like the illusion of like the punch is like you always do the punch like so it's covered by the camera, right? So it looks like you're making impact even though you're not. Where it's like that. They try to do that with this slice, and it's like it just
doesn't work.
Too far away.
They like I'm pretty sure they like CG in some goop or whatever to spill.
They
out.
do. It's like that did not make contact. That wasn't close enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have people sacrificing themselves with grenades and all that, all those things that you see in everything else.
I liked when the main villager guys would die because I was like, it was like a big moment in the movie, and I'm like, who cares?
You have the scene where they jump on the enemy ship and then they get beaten up and they fall out of the enemy ship.
Yeah, that was the main guy I was thinking of. Yeah. It's just whatever. Admiral Noble. Okay, so he the fight
what a
starts,
jawline Ed Skrein has. Incredible.
What a jawline.
Best character of the movie, Ed Skrein's jawline. and that one guy's abs.
Yeah. But no, the fighting kind of starts and he jumps into this trench and is just mowing down people. Oh, yeah. These people that have guns that could just shoot him.
Or just grenade blow him up.
Yeah. And he's just wandering through, taking them all out.
Really easily.
And it's just funny because he goes through that one trench and then he just gets back on his ship to go back to the main dreadnought or whatever.
And he's like, oh, I guess we have the Scargiver, which is what I call it. And now I don't care about the grain anymore. And they're like, oh, but our men are down there. This thing that they did in Return of the Jedi. Mm-hmm. Or is that that's in the deleted scenes of Return of the Jedi, right? Where they're fire on Endor.
See, I just think of Endgame. Rain fire, what Thanos says at the end of Endgame. It's like a meme.
Okay.
But sire our troops.
Okay. Well, it's a return. It was in Return of the Jedi. It might be deleted scenes. They're like, our own troops are down there. It's like, well, just a fewer mouths to feed. Am I right, boys?
It's just a bad man.
Watch out. There's that other commander guy in the ship that just does nothing. Yeah. He's like, I'm taking over. I don't even know
what happens to him. Does he die?
That's what I was like. I'm guessing he just blows up with the dreadnought. Yeah, also, the dreadnought doesn't even really blow up. It just lands. I'm like, that's anticlimactic. Shouldn't it be like a meteorite?
My dad really one of my dad's favorite things to mention to me about this was how they aim the cannon with rolling this dial thing, and it just does not. It's so slow and doesn't make any sense as to how it works.
They're like, we shouldn't have let IBM design this dreadnought. The laptops from they're just using that one button between the G, H, and B key or whatever that they would have.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
I do know what you're talking
That's what they're aiming with.
It really is kind of like that.
Oh, that thing is awful.
Yeah.
Why did they invent that? Horrible.
Yeah. I never really used it, but
horrible. Is that a thing still?
I don't think so.
Lenovo. I feel like Lenovo laptops held on to that for a while.
That could be.
Weird
nub
mouse thing in keyboard. IBM
weird
Lenovo
mouse thing.
A pointing stick. Track point?
Track points?
Is this what?
That's probably
I need a picture.
Oh yeah, there it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Oh yeah. That red nub. GH and B key. I don't know what's going on.
Going
here.
back a bit in the movie, I'm really glad that Korra's ship just worked without any issues.
I'm glad it did too.
When they found it was
it still works.
Yeah, wow. And
let me just fly it under a waterfall.
Yes.
Also, how can you tell where the water isn't? And how did they know that was there? Like, did people climb it? I mean, like, oh, it's our home planet, our home moon.
I don't know. Who cares? Let's see. What else do I have?
Better give myself a bad haircut.
I wrote down the quote. Admiral Noble, a scar from the Scargiver herself. Like, man is trying to really make.
He's really trying to work on the Scargiver. He's trying to get it.
Oh yeah. Okay. So right before the fight starts. Why would Cora believe a single thing Noble says?
No, I don't.
Like, he's like, yeah, if you come with me, we'll just take the grain and the people will live. And then she's just suddenly like, oh yeah, okay, I'll go do that.
Gunnar is like, nah, bro.
Yeah, which I understand what Gunnar does when he like shoots the bell or whatever. That's fine, but also like she is not upset with him at all for making that rash
She's like,
decision.
why did you do that? And he's like. She's like, why did you do that? And he's like, you wouldn't, him. He would never have actually done those things. Okay,
maybe I blocked.
Yeah, no, that happened. You gotta give. You didn't understand the nuanced writing that is Rebel Moon Part 2. Okay,
Admiral. One note I have here: Admiral Noble getting into the trench. He does a superhero landing.
He does do the superhero landing. It's a nice thud.
It was a nice thud. Good sound design there.
Unbelievable.
My one concession that I think is kind of smart, even though I think it's stupid on the Imperium's part, is that to get on the ship, they feign damage to the ship, right? I'm like, okay, that's kind of smart. I think it's pretty stupid that the Imperium is not like more aware of or more thorough, I guess, but kind of smart plan.
It's the heat of battle. It works. I liked it. I think that part worked. And then like using the grain as like the protective bargaining chip. Yeah. Like General Titus idea, like let's wall everything off basically with grain so they can't just blow up.
I did want to mention though, like when you mentioned that a little bit ago, like there's a certain point where like they're just shooting at the village like indiscriminately, and in my mind I'm like, okay, so this is just happening. Like I guess they just don't care anymore. And then after that is when Admiral Noble is like, "Oh, I'll just fire. I don't care anymore."
Then he knows he's got the Scargiver because apparently he needs her alive and he needs to show her to Regent Balasari.
Yeah. And then that's when he's
like, again, hold on, you're not understanding the nuance.
No, but like before he says that, before he comes to that like decision, they're still just firing on the grain in the village and everything, just not from the ship. It's like, I don't know. It's still like, and that before then is also I'm pretty sure the first tank at least was deployed too, which is just blowing stuff up too, like big explosions. God, it's so stupid. I love me a good mech. In things. I do not think the tank mech thing in this had a very cool design though. It's kind of generic.
The scene where Jimmy actually fights is fun.
Yeah, and then he just leaves. He blows up a tank and then he leaves.
Just flies.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done more.
Deus Ex Jimmy. Or Jimmy Ex Machina, rather.
There we go. Boy, there we go. I'm trying to think, was there anything else I wanted to say that we have not covered? I don't think so. I think I honestly have said everything. I mean, Admiral Noble gets his head cut off. Can't wait to see that in the director's cut.
Yeah, there's a lot of
his
things
head
in
just
this.
Lopped down.
There were a lot of things in this. I'm like, yeah, this was cut for PG-13. There was a lot of times where like a death I could tell was definitely supposed to be bloodier than it was. Yeah, I don't know. It just would be better if it was R-rated. If it was the full movie, I'm sure it would just be better because these movies feel chopped to pieces, really. And apparently, each one has an hour more. Is going to be an hour longer.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of slow motion.
I know. What did I say? I said, why is this kid so obsessed with Nemesis?
Seriously.
Yeah, it's dumb, lame. I have here, I hate this stupid movie. Just a note written down there. I said, so sad, Gunnar dying. Oh no.
That's right, he dies.
Does he die? Oh yeah, he does die.
He does, right?
He got because
she goes, why can't I just have this one thing?
Why can't I have this one thing? When they say I love you to each other, I said F off in my notes. But we didn't talk about the ending where apparently the princess isn't dead.
The princess is alive. Oh my gosh.
Titus knows this apparently, or Titus knows that for some reason.
Yeah. Why does he know that? The rebellion. The rebellion people just show up.
Yeah. Rebellion ex machina. There you go. What the heck?
What?
The Eagles. the Eagles from Lord of the Rings.
Like, where have they been?
Yeah. Why? Okay. I'm pretty sure they say something about it in the first movie, but I cannot imagine there's any good reason why the rebellion was not there, especially if they show up at the end here. Like, why didn't they just help from the start?
Either show up or don't.
Yeah, right? You're too late. Already lost so many people.
Gunnar has already died.
Gunnar's already dead. Didn't someone else die? Didn't one of the other main people die? Or did Nemesis die?
Nemesis died.
Okay. Did she?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's those two that died.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds right. Yeah, because I remember the kid being sad.
The kid who likes her for some reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't wait for part 3 that's never going to happen.
It's going to happen, Holden.
This
has a bajillion streams.
I don't know. I just
I'm excited. Let's do it.
Here's the thing. I understand.
We got to get to Holden. We got to get Planet of the Dead first, and then we'll get Rebel Moon Part 3.
Did you see there was something about that? I did not read the article, but in an interview that Zack Snyder said that Jimmy is somehow connected to Army of the Dead or something. I hope so. I don't know exactly what the quote was, so I could just could be headline bait, but no, so. I understand there's a lot of people that is a very non-vocal majority on the internet that just watch stuff on Netflix, and that's fine, but I do not know anyone. I have not seen anything about this.
Maybe
movie.
people are just hitting repeat. Or something.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll do well enough, and maybe with the R-rated cuts that combined will justify a third one. But I don't want any more. This is I said it at the beginning. Just one of the worst big. I know there are worse straight to DVD zero budget movies out there. That's whatever. But this has to be one of the worst big budget movies I've ever seen. Just in general.
I don't know.
I think Suicide Squad is my least favorite movie of all time, but I am tempted to say this is worse than that movie. Okay. Even though I dislike that. I have a very deep hatred of that movie, which is why I say it's my least favorite. But this is bad. This is bad. So,
boy, I really didn't like Halloween Ends.
I think I like this less than Halloween Ends.
Okay, wow.
Halloween Ends at least had some entertaining. It at least was kind of funny bad in some moments. This movie was so boring, and it was so bad too.
Is this worse? Is this movie worse than Amsterdam? See, I wouldn't say
that movie was really boring.
That movie was so boring.
It did have Taylor Swift getting run over by
That's
a car.
The only redeeming part. That is kind of a trump card. That might save it.
It's tough. I don't know. This is bad. This is really bad. I cannot, I understand Zack Snyder has a, following. I cannot fathom anyone defending this movie. I can understand to a certain degree almost every other movie he's made. I think this is his worst movie though, out of everything I've seen. I haven't seen Sucker Punch. I know people don't like Sucker Punch.
I would agree. I think this is, I've seen 300, Batman v Superman, Justice League, and this, I think, right? What else? I haven't seen Watchmen.
I've seen all of his DC stuff, including Watchmen. I've seen Dawn of the Dead. I've seen his owl movie.
Yeah, the Guardians of
Ga'Hoole.
Ga'Hoole. Almost a Godolphin.
We've seen Army of the Dead.
Army of the Dead. Yeah. No, this is worse than all those.
Yeah, I think this is. I can't imagine.
Which is a shame, right?
Yeah.
Too bad. Why is he uncredited for is he a producer?
He's probably producer on the other DC movies or executive producer or something.
Yeah. Well, it's only up from here, Zach.
I would really be interested to see the streaming numbers on this, but we never get those in any reliable way. So
I mean, he looks pretty good for 58 years old, though.
Yeah. Nice guy. Seems like a very nice guy. Glad he's making the movies he wants. Glad there are some people out there that enjoy them. But I think this is horrible.
Just don't get him talking about Batman
and his thoughts on superheroes. Batman should kill people or whatever.
Yeah. There we go. That's Rebel Moon. Anything else?
1 out of 10. 1 out of easy. One of the easiest. This has to be one of the easiest 1 out of 10s I've ever done. This has to be one of the worst movies we've seen on this podcast, I think. Cats is worse, I think.
Oh yeah.
We saw
Cats is bad.
We saw Cats.
Okay, what's the budget of Cats? Budget of Cats movie. That one is $80 to $100 million. All right. Would we even get the budget of Rebel?
It's 166 million total.
For total. So, I mean,
that's what Wikipedia says. I had it
shared with 160. So that's like relatively the same. Maybe less.
Yeah.
So then Cats is a worse big budget movie.
Yeah, Cats is probably worse. Although Cats is kind of funny.
No, Cats is worse. Hold on.
No, I'll say Cats is worse.
Thank you.
Madam Web is better, though. I have officially settled on that. I would much rather see Madam Web again than this. Oh my gosh. Madam Web is hilarious. This is not. I do want to. I'll just finish. I saw my dad texting me something about Rebel Moon again. It's probably nothing all necessarily. What did he say? I was describing to my youngest brother the ridiculous aiming of the Dreadnought's main gun, which I had mentioned, and he suggested that the scene probably would have been better if Zack Snyder had done those scenes in slow motion. That's true. But no, what I did want to mention was last night at 10:45. He started this movie at like around the time I did, 2 p.m. He said 20 minutes left. I will finish this movie.
There's a lot of ... It's in slow motion. Ironically, the text itself.
I bet that that was intentional on his part. Scott Sutter, master of
the layers comedy. Of humor there. Nicely done, Scott Sutter, ruiner of the podcast.
Yeah, horrible. Bad movie. I think that's it.
That's all? All right. Let's go on to our final segment of the show. Holden, what are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing? No, what are you doing? What are you doing? No, what are you doing? What are you doing?
All right, Jimmy. This week, I did watch things that were much better than this movie.
All right, good. Goodness. I did too. I actually watched and did things, Holden.
No way.
Did things. I know. I'm growing as a person.
Well, you didn't write it here on the notes, so I don't know. I don't know what you did.
Yeah, I want to keep you on your toes.
All right, Jimmy. Well, first thing I watched,
type them down when I'm thinking about it.
Speaking of Taylor Swift, I watched the Eras tour.
Okay, how was that? Good?
Actually, okay. So I've never been that big of a Taylor Swift has just been someone that's like in the background for me. Never been a Swiftie. I kind of get it.
Okay.
I kind of get it.
I respect it.
Yeah. There's the hits that I know and a couple that I've enjoyed in the past or whatever. So when she was doing those, that was fun. She puts on quite a show.
Well, that's what I heard.
Yeah. It's like 3.5 hours long, and she's like just dancing the entire time.
It's incredible.
Has this insane set and everything. Yeah. It's pretty cool. For me, it didn't need to be 3.5 hours because that's a long time for an artist I don't particularly care for that much, but I didn't regret it. I can see why it made a lot of money. I can see why people love her, even if she's not necessarily for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fine. That's kind of where I'm ending on. But speaking of Glenn Powell, I watched his rom-com from last year, the Anyone But You. Yeah, the Sydney Sweeney one.
How was that?
We're talking about actors that don't have very good chemistry. I think they have very good chemistry when they're like actually romantic and everything. But the whole concept of the movie is that they like hate each other.
Enemies to lovers.
Kind of thing. And I can't remember which. I think it's is it Much Ado About Nothing? It's some Shakespeare play that it's like an adaptation of. Okay. But anyway, the whole like setup for the movie is so stupid. Like the whole reason why they hate each other is so dumb. Bafflingly stupid.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh my gosh, these actors don't deserve this. And then when they're like antagonistic towards each other, I just don't think it works at all.
How long are they antagonistic?
Quite a while.
Okay.
Quite a while. But like when they actually are like romantic or whatever, I'm like, okay, I get it. They're cute. They work well together. But the whole plot, I don't know if it's just the Shakespeare plot being also convoluted or like unnecessarily complicated. But I'm like, it does not need to be this way to me. But I don't know. It was, if you like rom-coms, it was a rom-com. I'm not going to say it was bad or anything, but it was just very mid.
Okay.
The last movie I watched this week was Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Oh, really? I actually thought about rewatching that. I was like, I need to see this because I don't know if I've actually ever even seen it.
I've never seen it. I liked it. It. It was, that early 2000s era of Disney where it was not all hits, but it was very like interesting. I feel like it gets lumped in with Treasure Planet a lot.
Yeah.
Very similar vibes, I'd say. I like Treasure Planet more.
Which is, again, I don't think I've seen that since it was in theaters.
Treasure Planet kind of goes hard. But Atlantis is, I enjoyed it. I can see why if it was a childhood movie for you, it would be a classic. But yeah, I liked it. Michael J. Fox is the lead actor, lead voice, which I didn't realize. But yeah. Then I just have been watching Invincible. I'm enjoying that. Just a couple episodes away from finishing that. Continuing Alan Wake on my PlayStation. But I built a PC this week.
You did, Alden.
So
do you feel cool? Do you feel like a man?
Feel cool. So I had my friend kind of help me with parts and everything, and he picked out a lot of stuff when I was kind of telling him what I wanted. And I like case wise, I was fully expecting it to just be like a black matte case. I was like, I didn't care what it was, but it's like it's a see-through one, and it's got the colored fans and everything. Boy. It's the full gamer setup there.
Oh yeah,
looks pretty cool. But I just built that a couple days ago. I haven't played on it a ton. But
too busy watching Rebel Moon.
Too busy. Yeah. I got home yesterday afternoon. I'm like, man, I could be on my PC right now that I just built. I have to watch Rebel Moon.
Did you get a monitor or what's your situation?
Yeah, I got a monitor. And off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I can look up afterwards what it was. But it's it's 1440, 144 hertz. Okay. So it was like $150. Pretty nice for the price, but not like super high end or anything. But I'm enjoying that. I've installed a bunch of games on it. I was telling you and others that since I haven't been like hardcore gaming on PC since like early high school, I realized like my Steam library is just very like 2016, 2017 and older. I'd say I don't have very many like modern games on there. So I'll probably have to buy some stuff, but
boy, I wonder what the most modern game I have on Steam is. It's probably Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
It's probably my most modern game.
Yeah. I have the Master Chief Collection now, which I just bought. But that was on sale. So yeah. Other than that, what have you been doing, Jimmy?
All right. Hold on. I actually did some stuff. First off, last week, forgot to mention I watched Hercules like 7 times in class because we showed it. It's good. I like it. It's not as good as Mulan for me, but I really like James Woods as Hercules. He does a lot. I think
as Hades.
Yes, Hades. I think the lines are very cleverly written. The dialogue, the cadence of the dialogue is really good. Really good animation. The overall story is all right. I don't think it's as good as and just thematically as interesting as Mulan, which would be my favorite of the animated ones that I've seen anyway, or remember. Finished House of the Dragon. So excited for season 2 coming up in June, mid-June. Then hold on, because Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes is coming up. I started the Planet of the Apes modern trilogy with Rise of the Planet of the Apes, a very goofy movie that's pretty entertaining, and I liked it. I was at the very beginning. I was like, I don't know about this, but it's pretty entertaining.
Draco Malfoy.
I really enjoyed it. Yeah, Draco's just in it. Tom Felton. Brian Cox is in that movie, Holden.
Oh, I didn't know that. I haven't seen that movie in a while.
I was like, what? What are you doing here? He's the owner of the ape sanctuary that Draco Malfoy works at. So I'm like, he only has a few lines, but
that's pretty funny.
That's funny that he's just in this movie. I am about halfway through Dawn of the Planet of the Apes because I'm watching that while I'm working out. I saw that. So on Reddit, there was like, for whatever reason, there was a clip of the movie, superhero movie with Drake Bell, Kevin Hart, which you've seen this movie?
No, I haven't. I just am aware of it.
Okay. Here's my awareness of this movie. I saw the trailer for it back when it came out. And I thought the trailer was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life when that came out. And I never, ever actually saw the movie for whatever reason. The whole movie is just free on YouTube to watch. I found that out on Reddit today. And I've watched the first half of it, and I have giggled like a little schoolboy, Holden.
Oh my God.
It is so like Naked Gun. I mean, Leslie Nielsen is literally in it, but it is so goofy. Shooter McGavin, that actor, is in it too as the villain. So funny. I died laughing multiple times. I mean, just cackled. I have not laughed at a movie this hard in a long time, and it's just me channeling my inner fourth grader.
This is embarrassing.
I've
never seen it.
It is written and directed by Craig Mazin.
I knew that, yeah.
Which I definitely knew at one point, but forgot.
Yeah.
Incredible. Just like on point satire. Hilarious. Especially because, I mean, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, or especially the original movie, was my favorite movie for a long time when I was a little kid. I mean, my absolute favorite. So I saw it a million times. So just the parody of that, it parodies Batman Begins, X-Men, and every superhero movie basically from the mid-2000s, early to mid-2000s. And I just so many times have laughed. Like the very beginning, I'm like, I don't know. But then quite a few things made me laugh.
Yeah, I have heard that one is a little better than a lot of the other ones.
Scary Movie? Because are they the same idea?
So
Epic Movie?
I'm pulling up Epic Movie right now. So Friedberg and Seltzer are these guys that had, if you're younger or whatever, they had this like reign in the 2000s and early 2010s of making these parody movies that are horrible for all things considered. They did the first Scary Movie, which is actually apparently it's kind of what started it, but it was apparently okay. I've never seen it. But then they have all these others: Date Movie, Epic Movie, Meet the Spartans.
I'll have to check that one out.
Disaster Movie, Vampires Suck.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah, like all these movies. And
but does it say superhero movie?
No, they did not. They did not. So superhero movie, I think, just took like that naming convention. And I don't.
So it's not. But he did write some of the scary movies, didn't he? Craig Mazin?
Did he?
I'm pretty sure he did.
Well, okay. So it's produced by one of the Zuckers, who's like did Airplane, and I think he was in Naked Gun, and I think he was attached to Scary Movie.
See, I think this is much more Airplane, Naked Gun than it is those.
Okay, yeah, he did write Scary Movie 3 and 4.
Which Scary Movie 4 is the one with the Saw
parody,
which is
I
hilarious.
I have seen
which is spot on and so funny.
I didn't realize he wrote The Hangover Part 2 and 3. What the heck? What? This man has made horrible, some pretty bad movies, I'd say.
But he's also written superhero movie, Holden.
Yes,
it's incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. So I have heard that one's the better one out of all of them because it's not as connected to those others, but
it is. I don't know if you would think it as funny as me, but I mean, it is my fourth grade sense of humor. Like I thought it was hilarious.
Okay.
I mean, I'm only through the first half, but I mean, just bursting out laughing uncontrollably several times.
Okay.
And it's super fast paced too.
Yeah.
But everything's deadpan. The directing is spot on. I mean, it is just captures the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man original film so well from 2002. Everything about it. Skip the title sequence. I mean, they may have a couple of gags in the titles, but it is like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man where it's like a 5-minute. Just skip over it. You don't.
Yeah, I mean, if it's kind of akin to like
it's on YouTube
Gun or something.
Watch it. It's on YouTube. It's hilarious. It is. It is.
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen. There he is. Kevin Hart's in it.
Yes, he is.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Highly recommend it.
Keith David.
Yeah. Very, very entertaining. Then finally, Holden, I finished Plague. Yeah, defeated my nemesis, Plague Tale Requiem. Yeah, it's over. It ended. I'm like, okay, just that's how it ends, huh? I don't know if it really felt earned. I was like, is that? I mean, I've been playing it for so long that maybe it would have felt just like, is that really what we've been building up to the whole time? Mm-hmm. Did you feel that way about the ending?
I do think like kind of the last act is, I like it. I like the last act, but I do think it's kind of like the final conflict is kind of like comes out of I wouldn't say comes out of nowhere, but it's like, I don't know. It is strange. It is strange. I like the ending. I like where it ends up.
I like it. I'm just like, did we build to that?
Yeah.
You know?
I think they did. I think the way the final act kind of accelerates it is a little strange, and maybe that's the problem for me. I think where it ends felt mostly earned though for me.
Yeah, maybe because it's just such a slow paced game and then it just races to the end at the end.
Yeah, I think that's part of it because it does.
Then I played Resident Evil Village for a little bit actually in VR.
Nice.
I need to get something for my PSVR 2. It's so uncomfortable. I mean, I cannot play it for more than 30 minutes. It is just PSVR 1 was just so much more comfortable for me for whatever reason. So there's different attachments you can get over advanced. So I just need to do that because otherwise, I mean, I just cannot do it. And I think that's been the biggest barrier for me because it is so fun. Oh my gosh. I'm just figuring out the controls again and just getting jump scared and all that in VR. Its graphics are great and just got to just get that and do that because that's fun and then play 4. But yeah, that's what I've been doing, Holden. There we go. I actually did stuff this week. Next week. Yeah. So Challengers. Yes. The tennis movie with Zendaya and whatnot. It's coming out apparently and it looks good and it's supposed to be good. So excited for that. We might see Hundreds of Beavers, depending on if Jimmy's available. Yeah, a movie. Yeah. Not literally the animal. We're not going to the zoo or anything, but no, it's a movie that it's playing locally here Thursday night, and it's apparently very good. So if you've heard of that, maybe check it out. But other than that, I guess if you want to leave us a request, you can do so by leaving us a 5-star review on iTunes or email us at tompodcast@gmail.com or donate to our Patreon. There we go.
That's it.
Until next time, adios pantalones.
Love you.